Italian garden. Well, my name's John, and if you already tuned in, you pretty much know that. But for the people that don't know, I'm your host here on the Italian garden. Today, I want to talk to you about something pretty interesting. I know a lot of people who have done this in the past or grown this in the past, but that is dragon fruit. And I have two cuttings here of dragon fruit. I am propagating this from seed, but this will be a quick episode on how to propagate dragon fruit from seed, also from cuttings. So I'm going to do some cuttings here. This one is, they have it labeled here on the dragon fruit. You can see the purple. I believe these are from South America. They're a South American variety that's been crossbred, and this one is a red fruit. So these, one's a magenta purple, one's a red fruit. And when propagating from cutting with these plants, you'll probably get fruit within 2 years, sometimes earlier, but it usually is around the 2 year to 3 year mark is when you get fruit from these plants. Now, when preparing the cutting, now they have it labeled here handily what ends the top. I'm going to bring you in here close, and I'm going to show you the different things you're going to need to propagate from cutting, and we'll go from there. Okay.
These are the things you're going to need to propagate from cutting. Now, got some multi-purpose plant labels here. I'm going to use these in two ways. Here you'll see how I'm going to use one of these sticks in a second here, but use that just for labeling. A Sharpie to make sure you can write on it. This is an optional. You don't need this to propagate dragon fruit, but it is handy. Is some Clonex rooting gel. This is, I believe, an organic type, but I'm not sure. So I did buy an organic type. I don't know if they sent me the organic type or not, but and then this is also an optional. You don't really need it. I just want to make sure my cuttings start out the best start. I have some Organisms XL. This is the stuff that I use to start compost, and I'm going to sprinkle this first before I do anything else at the root zone. So I'm just going to take a little bit out of here on my fingers, so a little pinch, and sprinkle this where the cutting, in the cutting hole. I'm going to plant the cuttings down about 2 inches. Just make sure that stuff is all sprinkled in there. And hands are all filled with bacteria and fungi now, but alright. So now that's done. Leach the air out of the bag. Seal it up. Don't want any air in there. Then you just take your cutting. I'm going to do the red one first. I'm going to use one of these sticks here, so you can see that. One of these sticks, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to open up the cloning gel. I'm going to make sure that I put it on the bottom. See, they have it labeled here, top red. So they want this facing the top because they cut this off first, and it's healed over. You can see how it's kind of scabbed a little bit in yellow. It's not wet, so I know that it's ready to be planted. So you want to do that, and dragon fruit will root all along their stem. So really, honestly, you just want to smear it around on the bottom part of the cutting. I'm going to use this plant label to do that, so you don't get it all over your fingers. Some people will disinfect their cutting before doing this. You can do that. I don't see it's really necessary. If the cutting is going to die and rot away, then and not grow roots fast enough to stop that from happening, then it probably wasn't a healthy cutting to begin with. So I'm going to do it about 1.5 inches to almost 2 inches up, probably almost 3 up this stem, because it'll send roots out along every part of the succulent. You want to just make sure you have it well coated. Give a nice coating on there like that. and then you're just going to take it, you're going to stick it in the planting hole right up against the stick, and you're going to cover it up, tamp it down, make sure it's in contact with your potting mix and the stake. I have one stake. I don't have another stake for this one, so this one's going to go without for right now. I'll find another one soon to put in there, but this one's going to have a stake. Now with this potting mix, I have a lot of perlite in here, and about this far up around there I have compost mixed with perlite, and then the rest of it is just cocoa coir and a little bit of peat moss with perlite. So the roots will go down into the medium, they'll seek out the rich compost. These like nice kind of, they like fertile soil in the ground a little bit more, or a little bit deeper, but they prefer growing in less fertile. I just use compost because I rather not pile on the fertilizer or use fertilizer than over fertilize it. Compost is just there, and it'll use whatever it wants from the bottom, and it'll use the space up top to gain a really nice root mass. So it can basically sustain itself with this compost in here for a good couple months without me having to really fertilize it. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Bump the camera. Same thing with this one. That's the top. This is the bottom that's scabbed over. I'm just going to rub the rooting gel all along here. So that it's nice and covered, not too thick. Ow, pokey. These things do have spines on them, but they're not really, I mean, they're not the spines that are going to come off and stab you. They're the type of spines that are just there and kind of just poke at you. So there we go. There's that. Poke that in there. Put this back. Do the same thing. Now with that, those microorganisms I did, when this thing does grow roots, they'll poke through that layer of where the organisms have already started breeding, and they'll poke through it, and then the roots will get the organism on there, and it has mycorrhiza and stuff inside here, so it'll be able to grab the nutrients down here a lot better. So they'll have a much better start with that in there. So that's basically how you do it. I'm going to give this a water, a nice heavy water. Make sure it's nice and damp. And I'm going to let these dry out pretty well before you water them again. You want to make sure that they're drying out quite nicely. Otherwise, they'll rot easy. That's why you want a lot of perlite, so that it drains well, because they don't like soggy roots. They're not a water-loving plant. They're a cactus technically, so a tropical cactus, but a cactus nonetheless. So you want to make sure that they have some nice drainage. Pretty much any basic potting mix will work, just as long as you add some good perlite and stuff like that to it. But anyway, guys, that's concluding here. I'll do an update soon on the grow tent that you saw behind me. Everything's looking good with that. I'm really happy with the results, so I'll explain to you a little bit more. I've been talking to some people online, but I'll explain to you a little bit more about what's going on with that later. So anyway, guys, talk to you later. Bye.